Save the Semantics, episode 182. It is July 2nd, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. It is the weekend, which is usually when I record these. When I have the time and energy to do so. Yeah. It's been a kind of it's been a rough week. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it or anything like that. Yeah, it's been a bit rough. Like it's some rough waters, so pretty bumpy, I would say. But we get through it. We get through those. Just sometimes it just comes around, and you don't know how to handle it. And I don't know. I'm just doing it. I'm just handling it in the best way that I can. Yeah, and we're getting through it. It's not nothing too crazy that I can't overcome or anything like that. But just yeah, I'm keeping it vague, but that's just kind of what it is. And sometimes you just have those rough patches that you kind of have to, muddle through, and just come out of the other side. This, outside of, just my general state of being and, my well-being and whatnot, I've been it's been a, pretty chill week for the most part. I've just been working and stuff like that. I've had some nice time off, and I will be getting some more time off later this month, which is pretty crazy to think about. I got a whole thing planned, which I'm really excited for. So I got that, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of been sort of this like weird blur sort of thing, like where I'm like, I'm doing my thing. I have like a routine. I have a set routine with my job and everything like that. I have a set routine with my, I don't know, exercise, activities, whatever, day-to-day shit. But it just sort of, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's really just sort of blended over everything. Like I'm sort of, it's not like, it's not necessarily that it's hard to like keep track of the days or anything like that. It's just kind of like I don't really this is all just pretty nebulous, and I'm just kind of going along with things and trying to get by, while dealing with, whatever shit that I'm dealing with at the time being. So I don't know. It's been yeah, I mean, outside of whatever, it's been solid. It's been good. So hopefully, it maintains that sort of thing, and I have like a decent, maybe I can kind of tighten my routine. Hopefully it'll be a little more consistent in things that I want to do, like like exercise and that sort of thing, and do other things on a more consistent basis, and keep up with those things, instead of kind of letting those fall to the wayside. So I don't know if I talked about this. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I ended up buying the definitive edition for Xenoblade Chronicles, the first game. And I've been playing through that. Maybe I did talk about it. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to get through the story and everything. Like I know what to expect in the first game. It's just I know what happens in the story and everything like that. But just kind of wanted to get a refresher, and I've also wanted to play the definitive edition for a long time, so got my hands on that, and I've been really enjoying it. I think the quality of life improvements from the Wii version are like, it's just not even, it's like it's like unfathomable to even like consider playing the original Wii version at this point, just because like how they've made things so much more accessible and easy, like especially like the side quests and everything like that. Like they're it's just so easy to do them. Like, you don't need to, if you beat, like, say there's like a monster side quest where you need to defeat, like, a particular number of a certain type of enemy. Like once you complete that, like, it's the quest is complete. Like, you don't need to go back to the person that gave you the quest and like receive the reward, which is really, really nice. I think that's so, it makes things so much easier, and like it makes it like the experience like smooth too. Like, because I'm not like, when I played through the game the first time, fucking, I don't remember how long was it. It was like 6-7 years ago. Now, like, yeah, I was playing it to like kind of like do the most that I could. But this, at least this playthrough, I'm just like doing, like, I'm focusing on the story, and then doing whatever side stuff like kind of on the side. And I'm kind of challenging myself too, like, to either, I don't want to be over leveled when fighting bosses. Like, I'm kind of right at that level, at their level, or like a little lower, because I think that kind of adds a little bit of a challenge, and it makes me, try out different strategy, different like party, different party arrangements, and that sort of thing. So it kind of challenges me to do different things, and I don't know. I find that's really fun to me. Like, there's this really challenging boss that's like in like the first third of the game, and I just beat it, and it was very satisfying, because I remember, and I did have some trouble with it this time around. It took me like maybe like 4 or 5 tries, but I just remember being stuck on it, like, when I first played it, and I was fucking struggling. Like, I didn't know what to really do and everything like that. Like, I felt like I was just kind of, I don't know, mashing buttons, and I also felt, I think I might have like looked up how to beat the boss or whatever. So, obviously that kind of like, that kind of stuck with me up until this point. So, I mean, I kind of carried that knowledge forward, but I don't know, I still felt like just beating it. I didn't grind or anything like that. I kind of just went into it. I lost the first few times, and then I was able to beat it afterwards. So I don't know. That was just really satisfying. Like, I was like, oh shit, I was able to pull it off. So, I'm not like it's all just a matter of finding like the thing that works. Like, sometimes some battles you need to have like a specific party member to, like, do certain things. Like, I don't know, generally Shulk is is kind of like needed for specific types of battles and whatnot. But like, honestly, like, you could probably, I mean, I don't know about this last one that I beat. I think it might be a little difficult to do, like, play it without Shulk. It might be, I don't know if it's impossible, but it's definitely really difficult. But I don't know, it's cool that it kind of the game gives you sort of the, I guess, the option of just doing, certain things, and trying out different configurations and whatnot. So I think it's really fun. And based on what I've heard from the third game, again, I've sort of withheld information from myself, or I haven't really looked at any things super in detail, but from what I've heard, there's a lot of customization in the third game, the upcoming game, and I think that seems like a really fun, and I love the combat in the second game. I've talked about this before. Like, it clicked, like, later into the game, like fucking, I don't know, 50, 60 hours into it. It's like the combat finally clicked for me, and I was like, oh shit, this is a lot of fun. You know what I mean? So hopefully that element gets carried over into this one as well. I think it's going to be interesting trying to manage all these different characters, because, like, the first 2 games, it's just 3 party members in the that are in active battle. So it's gonna be something. I have not looked in depth. Like I didn't watch the whole direct. I just watched the first trailer, which was really awesome. I think it was so well done. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like even if you're not a fan of the series, I think that might encourage you into getting into the series. Like I think it's incredible, like just the point where this series has gone to, just from where it started, where like there was Operation Rainfall, which was the project that, people were like, certain people were like pushing for the original game to get localized in the West. And from that point to kind of being this like, forefront RPG for Nintendo is pretty incredible. Like it's really cool. I'm really happy just like how much love this series has gotten. I mean, it's just all a matter of just the team and the studio behind the project, or the series itself. Tetsuya Takahashi's vision and whatnot, like everything that he's carried from his experience, working at Square and creating, Gears and Saga and everything like that, just all kind of carried forward, and it's sort of like a culmination of all of these things. And I'm also watching like the Xenosaga playthrough of those games. I've watched so far I've seen like the first two, like the whole, like played the I can't fucking talk. They played through the first two games, and right now I'm watching them go through the third one, and it's really cool seeing. I think I don't really know if I would play, especially Saga 1. Saga 1 seems a little dated, just because of how slow everything is. Like a lot of especially like in combat, like the animations take like 20 seconds just to do like a single attack. And that's, I don't know if I can really, I don't know how patient I am to get through that, you know what I mean? So, and it's also not super like readily available. It's pretty rare, I think, to find copies of the Saga games. So I've kind of I thought it might be just interesting taking a look at those games and, just kind of observing it and kind of seeing how it all ties into the rest of the Xeno games. And it's really cool. The point that I wanted to make was that I think it is really interesting seeing like the improvements from one game to the next in the Saga series. Like I think the second game, it looked like they did like a better job at for like the combat. Like I think that I like the animation time was like cut down, and like certain things were a little more accessible for my eyes, in terms of like battle mechanics and what else? There was like music in like areas, like I thought that was kind of funny. Like in the first game, a lot of like the areas that you're kind of like traversing through don't have background music, which I thought is so like, I don't know. Like I don't know any game that like doesn't have that, you know what I mean? You could argue like Breath of the Wild and other games like that, but for like a JRPG, like areas have, their themes and their like motifs and whatnot. So I don't know. It was just kind of funny seeing that. So they added that in 2, and then in 3, like it's sort of like an improvement on everything really, and it's really cool. I think the combat looks pretty fun, pretty fast paced, which is cool. And the music is really well done, I think. I mean, the music's well done for all the games, but I think 3, it has this like, I don't know. It's got a cool thing going, which I appreciate. So that's kind of been something that I've been watching. Um, yeah, playing Xenoblade and all this shit. It's kind of right now. That's just what that's just kind of my life right now. I mean, since I do have a little bit of time on my hands, and everything, I'm just kind of spending that all on that shit. Just because I don't know. Because once the third game does come out, and I think I've said this, but I'm gonna not have. I'm probably not gonna have as much time to play it. I'll probably be playing just whenever I have time, whenever I have a break or on the weekends or whatever. But I do want to just kind of be immersed as much as I can, just in this world and everything like that, because there's a lot to really appreciate and love about this series and everything like that. So yeah, good stuff. I'll touch upon a bit on the special edition. They had another release day sale, like a second go around on Thursday, and it seemed like I was one of the very fortunate people that was able to pick up a copy the first go around, like one of 10 people that was able to get a copy. And then everybody else is kind of like on the sidelines, just kind of waiting around, being like, hey, yo, Nintendo, like, what the fuck is this shit, And so they gave it another try on Thursday, and it looks like it was the same issues. A lot of the same issues where like the queue line was just backed up, and it was just like they didn't like. The only thing that they changed was the amount of copies that you could purchase, because it was before that it was 2, and this time around it was 1, and they changed so it limited to 1 per account purchase basically, and it seemed like more people were successful, but the whole process was just it's still a shit show. It was still a shit show. Like I just like why I don't know what the fucking like mindset was from Nintendo of America. Like first go around, like it was just a complete dumpster fire where pretty much nobody was able to really get a copy. People had to do different like workarounds. I talked about it, that last time. And then really the only thing they changed was the number of copies that you could purchase, and really nothing else. The process from outside looking in looked like it was just the same. It was just like the same thing. And so it's like people were like refreshing their page. They weren't able to check out from the cart. It's just like I really don't understand it's just such like an archaic thing. Like I really don't understand like why they didn't even change it up. You know what I mean? They did the same fucking thing, and they didn't improve they didn't improve like the customer service or anything like that. Like it's just like a nightmare. Like why would you do that? You know what I mean? Like make it easier. People want to buy the game. Like there's such a high demand for it. And like I was reading up like people's like interactions with customer service, like they're like, oh, we didn't expect this volume of people coming in to purchase the game. It's like, what are you talking about? Like just like there's like just I don't know, take into account like engagement on Twitter, online, like just like take all these like things into account, and be better prepared for that shit. And they were just they didn't do really anything to kind of update or change that experience. So I don't know, it's frustrating. I mean, I got very lucky in getting myself a copy of the special edition, but there's still a lot of people that weren't able to get it, and they're they're fans that are just as passionate as me. And then there's like scalpers on eBay selling the thing for fucking double, triple the price, which is ridiculous. And just nonsense. So I don't know. It's a whole thing, but it is, it is what it is, I guess. Um, what else do I want to talk about? This past week, I've listened to some good stuff. I prefaced last time that I was going to listen to Lupe's new album, and which I did. That's been in my rotation for quite a while now, for this whole pretty much this entire week. And it's been great, man. It's such a good album. It's definitely more accessible than Drogas Waves, for sure, 100%. I mean, that album is like what, an hour and a half plus long. This one is just like 40 minutes, and it's like a breeze. It's just like you just like go through it. That's like my only, I guess, gripe with this album, is that I wish it was longer. Like I wish there were like maybe a couple more tracks on this, and I think it would have been like, I don't know. But I guess to that point, much easier to replay. And I've like listened to this album like 3-4 times now, and it's great, man. There's a lot of interesting concepts that he touches on. And I'm still trying to like pick up like, what is he talking about? In the middle of the mall. What do you mean, dude? That sort of thing. What's in the middle of the mall? Is the kiosk? Oh, that's the name of the song. Oh shit, maybe that's something. So my favorite song, I would say Miss Mural, I think is fantastic. And then the last song, On Fall Nem. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's like Greek, not entirely sure, but both really good songs. Miss Mural is kind of like another song in that sort of his mural, I guess, trilogy now, because there was a Mural Junior and Androgos Waves, but this song, he talked about just kind of like he's basically using like this allegory of like this like conversation between like an artist and is like a model or something like that, and his like artistic process and everything like that, and you can kind of understand like what he's going with there. I think this is probably one of the more easier songs to digest from his discography, in terms of trying to get an understanding of interpreting his lyrics and everything like that. I really liked it. Like it felt like this kind of this is just this beautiful poetry and this like this story, and like I'm just like envisioning like this picture of like a painter, and just kind of like throwing it into the flames, just like and this his Lupe's music always has just this beautiful imagery going on. Even the songs that aren't like perfect and that aren't my favorite, like he always just like paints like this really like vivid picture of like what's happening in that sort of thing, and kind of like ties it back to his own like experiences with art and how he makes music and that sort of thing. And I think that's really beautiful. And there's always like some other layers put on top of that, and there's always like something else to kind of look forward to and re-listening to his songs. And the songs on this album are no exception. Some of the songs are a little more like kind of understandable, even on the surface. Like he doesn't do any crazy like metaphors or anything like that. Like you're like, okay, this is pretty, I'd say pretty straightforward. Like talking about his sort of like the hypocrisy of him being a rapper, talking about criticizing a lot of the things that rappers present and kind of symbolize. This is a common theme and throughout all of his music. And then kind of like he criticizes those things while also sort of embracing those aspects, a lot of aspects as well. Like he did that on Food and Liquor, He did that on The Cool. Like he does all of these things. Tetsuo and Youth. Like he does all of these things on his album. Just kind of like, you know, struggling with like the dynamics of his position as a rapper, a hip hop artist, and just kind of how he relates to the rest of the industry and the rest of the you know, just kind of the musical field, I guess you could say. But I don't know, man. It's a great album. I think it's a really good album. And so I'll probably be just kind of be re-listening to it quite a bit. For, you know, this next week, month, I don't know, just whenever something else kind of pops up. So that's that. Another album that I've been listening to, which has been incredible, dude. This album, oh my god. I don't know how, I'd never even heard of this artist before. This is Michael Kiwanuka, and his album Kiwanuka, which came out in 2019. Dude, this shit is incredible, man. How I stumbled across this was I was watching what was I watching? I was watching, I think, a reaction or review video of Little Sims. Sometimes I Might Be Introvert. And the person in the video was like talking about the production, which was done by this producer named Inflow. I didn't know anything about this person. Like I didn't even really listen, or I didn't even seek out this producer before this point. Like I just sort of like Little Sims album, that's like one of my favorite albums now. So like I don't know why I didn't really do this. I think I just sort of like took that album, just, you know, as just sort of this beautiful project, and, you know, her Little Sims kind of just full expression on display, and I didn't necessarily consider the production side of things, even though, you know, of course it's very much upfront about it, just how vibrant and just how just like this orchestral, and just it's beautiful. It sounds so good. And so I was curious to see like what other what other things he worked on, and I was reading through the comments, and one of the comments recommended this album, and this album it's fucking incredible, dude. It's so goddamn good. Like I'm just like, damn. Like I'm feeling like nostalgic listening to this. It's crazy because I never listened to this album before. I never even listened to his other, I've never heard of his music before up until this point. So I was like, god damn, like this feels like something that I've like maybe listened to like in college or something, and I'm like, wow, this is like one of my favorite albums now. And right now I'm like, wow, this is one of my favorite albums now. This is incredible, man. It sounds really good. His singing is awesome. Like it's super just like I'm just like getting into it. And I love the themes and the ideas expressed. It's a very like uplifting album as well. Like of course he talks about, some of his like some of his faults and whatnot, and kind of his sort of maybe past relationships. He keeps a lot of like ideas and stuff vague in this album, but I think you can kind of interpret a lot of things from it. I'm just kind of delving into it and whatnot, but oh my god, it's there's a lot of really great, I don't know, it's just very there's a lot of light presented on this album, and there's a lot of things that while you're listening to it, you're like, wow, this is really giving me like this like really good perspective on things. Like starting off with the album, it's the song is called you ain't the problem, and while while this song, like, I is not necessarily addressing me, you know what I mean? Like, he might much more be talking about, like, systemic issues and whatnot. And, talking about just sort of like speaking much more to uh, people that, have lived the black experience, black people. But I still feel, I very much feel what he's saying in that song, and I think that's really incredible. And there's a lot of other really good um like messages kind of like told throughout, and I don't know, it's just, I've been listening to this quite a lot as well, alongside Lupe's album. So and this is just, I don't know, man, the production and everything, it feels really timeless. Like, I'm definitely gonna be checking out Inflow's other stuff. It looked like he produced like Cleo Soul's music before, and I've listened to her stuff, and that sounds really good. So I don't know. It seems like he's just like a fucking, I don't know. He's just like killing it, and that's awesome. So because I'm excited to kind of hear what other projects um he's been a part of. So yeah, good stuff, man. This like, finding this album and listening to it like right now, especially where I'm kind of going through like a weird kind of moment, is it was kind of like this perfect kind of find for me. It not came out, but like I found it at the right moment, at the right time. And it's doing a lot for me. So I'm really happy and just kind of grateful that I stumbled across this. So yeah, checking out more of Inflow's projects. I'll also be checking out more of Michael Kiwanuka, Kiwanuka's other stuff as well, because he has a pretty vast, pretty good sized discography as well. So yeah, man, there's good stuff out there. I'm really excited to check out some other stuff, because I like talking about just kind of like the music that I've really been into, you know what I mean? Speaking of music. So yeah. Anyways, that's probably gonna do it for today. Thank you for listening. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.